Hi, I'm David Leip. I'd like to share a couple bits of information before we get into this podcast episode. We recorded this episode some weeks ago, and that happened before the COVID-19 crisis really turned into a pandemic. In this episode, we talk about the fact that we were just recently dancing. That, of course, was not really the case at the time that we're airing this episode. In our last episode, we spoke about dancing in the age of COVID-19. At the time of that recording, the crisis was in a much earlier phase. That was before COVID-19 was declared a pandemic. It is, at this point in time, not responsible to think about going out social dancing until the pandemic is resolved. So I encourage everyone to stay safe for yourselves and your neighbors and friends. I hope you get to enjoy things like this podcast, maybe enjoy some good dance movies or videos, try out some of our dance exercises, and I look forward to seeing you all on the dance floor sometime soon once the pandemic is resolved. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy this episode.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Hey, guys. I ran across... Sorry, David, I didn't give you a chance to say hello. I'm always like moving 100 miles an hour.
Hello, Kelly. Hello, Michelle.
You're reminiscent of Barry White. Hey, girl. And on that note, now we're going to talk about something that's really weird for that little joke. So on Facebook, it's been making the rounds about how this parents of a younger child, I'm going to say, I think sixth grade, I think fifth grade, elementary school for sure, is outraged and posting that their school is having a dance, and the rule is you have to say yes to the partner when asked at the school dance, right? And then that's the clickbait, right? And you're like, wait a minute. So you click on it, and then the story starts to unfold, right? The story starts to unfold that the dance is during the day. There's chaperones all over the place. And then more and more the story starts to unfold. So when I went back onto Facebook to try to find this article, magically I just can't find it anywhere. So I then went online and started researching, and what I think that article stems from is in Utah this year and last year, I don't know if it's the same school or not, a elementary school has a Valentine's Day dance that the rule for the Valentine's Day dance is you must say yes to anyone who asks. And I'll be honest, I don't see anything for that. Like, everyone is against it, saying as intensely as this is developing like a rape culture. And so for me, seeing where the story started and watching the outrage travel along, I'm just wondering what your guys' thoughts are. Like, I want to throw that on the table because I don't necessarily know if I agree that I think it's creating rape culture. But what do you guys think?
So to give a little bit of context, because when you mentioned this to me, Kelly, I went online too looking for it. And I did find an article in the Washington Post that covered this story. And you are right, it is a middle school in Utah. And the basic premise is correct that, their policy is for this dance. They were trying to tell the kids, look, if someone asks you, you have to politely accept. I'm kind of with you, Kelly, that I don't see a problem with that, in part given the age, right? That these are kids, chaperoned. We want to be encouraging them to learn how to interact with, well, generally the opposite gender. And in this context, I'm sure it's probably always the opposite gender. I think talking about rape culture is very extreme. I guess anything could happen in this world, but it seems weird to me to think about middle school aged kids raping each other in any context. I guess that can happen.
Yeah.
But this is a chaperoned, controlled environment. I'm reminded of the documentary film Mad Hot Ballroom that talks about the dancing classrooms thing that Pierre Dulaine has done. There, he does something similar. He comes into the classroom and he requires everyone to dance together, with one exception, and that is there's some, somewhat more rare cases where a kid will say, "Look, my family's religion does not allow me to dance," and he'll accept that. But aside from that, there's no other excuse. Everyone has to line up. Everyone has to take a partner, and you take your turn. And they've had very, very positive results with that program. I don't see a problem with it. I kind of think that this probably started as very much a clickbait kind of article from the sounds of it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Everything now is clickbait. And just to tag on really quickly, the article also states that the school is very specific about non-gendered roles. So it does say in the article, if you're asked by the same sex, you must say yes and dance with the same sex. Like, I can understand the rule of what it's trying to cultivate, or what I hope it's trying to cultivate. But there's a lot of people that instantly go to the negative, that instantly go to, this is rape culture. I don't, as two guys here talking, Michelle, what does that make you? You know what I mean?
Oh, I know. I'm just waiting for my moment. Thank you. You know what? I think I'm always the naive one that always just thinks that everything is with good intention. And just as this is, I do believe that the perspective from the school is with good intention, which is what we're always trying to promote. And on a really quick little tangent, even for us here at the studio, of course we want to encourage everybody to say yes, but there are exceptions. I think that the radical rape culture comment is very bold and really just extreme. But I do think that the intentions are good. The school is trying to promote that social side of dancing. And what is the one thing that everybody needs, whether they're just learning how to dance or whether they're in grade 5 or grade 6, is a little push to be confident and to take a chance, which I think is what I mean by their intentions are good. So that is where we're trying to encourage them in a chaperoned environment. But at the same time, you know, that radical sort of twist on where this is going to lead is a bit absurd, if that's my personal opinion. I think that's extreme. But in a general sort of scope of what's going on in the world these days, we're either way over here or we're way over here. So the continuum is never sitting in the middle. We always have these extremes. And this is another perfect example. Do we want people to say yes and accept an invitation to dance? Of course. Do we respect religious backgrounds? Yes. So there's these, you know, things that we have to manage all the time.
I think, you know, I'm a professional ballroom teacher. So when I go out, as much as I'm off of work or whatever, if I go out and it's a dance situation and I get asked to dance, with the exception that, yes, I must protect myself. So if I think they're a dangerous dancer or I feel unsafe, I would easily say no, but I swing more to the, yeah, let's dance with everyone. Let's, you know what I mean? Like I don't feel unsafe. And if I do feel unsafe, I know how to say no. But I developed this long before I became a professional instructor. When I was first learning and just going out with friends, I always wanted to dance and I always wanted to practice. So I would say yes to everyone, or I would go and ask everyone to dance. It never entered my mind that I was going to either make someone feel unsafe because I'm being all creepy about it, or I myself would be in a situation that I'm uncomfortable with, because if that ever happened, I would simply then just back out of the situation. I don't know. I think teaching them at a young age about dancing and being able to say yes or no, I think is super important. But I'm missing the big jump, like you said, to rape culture. Like, I'm missing that big jump because I don't think that's true. I think if you're that worried about it, stop being a social justice warrior and offer to chaperone the dance. Right? Then
so you know what? Those are so good, Kelly. Really good points. And I heard you mention that you have taught in a school perspective as well before. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I have as well. A couple of high schools here in the city where we go and I'll teach, know, 40 to 60 kids in one go, just in a
Mhm.
big gymnasium, and I've got my Britney Spears headset on and I'm doing my thing. But
Yep.
what's important about this is that's exactly what we're there to do. We're there at whatever age, whether it be grade 9 or grade 6 in this scenario, or grade 11,
Mhm.
to promote and highlight social etiquette, manners,
Mhm.
invitations to dance, accepting the dance, even as awkward as it may be. If we don't provide these opportunities, they don't learn. So we're trying to create these little moments so that they get a glimpse into that and they learn about it, and it will become something maybe they'll do later in their life. But you know, you've got a lot of kids who might have some resistance and they're shy and they've got their head down and they don't want to dance with this person. And, you know, as a teacher and as the teachers in the school come in, and we do what we can to just boost them up and make them feel comfortable with it. That's a good thing. And it's not leading to any sort of negative cultural influences. It's social confidence.
Yeah. I think with the modern culture being so aware of bullying and so aware of the Me Too movement and so aware of people as individuals, I think they're starting to forget that people are also a group. You know
Right.
what I mean? I myself, horribly bullied, like absolutely horribly bullied in elementary school. So if this program was available, there was no way I was asking anyone to dance because I was too worried about getting bullied by my friends, much
Right.
less asking someone I didn't know to dance with the option of that saying no. So for me, I love that rule because now I'm able to ask somebody in an environment that I feel safe because I wasn't ever the weirdo you had to worry about. I was a kid getting shoved in the lockers, getting lunch money stolen, all that other stuff. So we laugh and stuff, but that's totally true. So it's just crazy how I don't know. I'm literally at a loss for this and to see how beneficial dance is and how beneficial taking that power for yourself is, and then watching some people just dismiss it and swing so far, like you said, the other way, and being like, how dare you, this is rape culture. And it's like, now this person's never going to grow up with a bigger knowledge of social interaction.
Which is a huge part of it, you know, and
Yeah.
it's interesting, even in our perspective, David, you as a very established dance enthusiast, if we can call you that, and very skilled, you do a lot of social dancing. And, you know, that's where we're going to sort of shift the gears a little bit in this conversation. That how does it apply in an adult perspective? Because
Well,
now we're talking about
yes.
the avenues that we're in, right?
Yeah. So I was laughing a moment ago, Kelly, as you were describing your middle school experience, because it was so similar to mine. Yeah, maybe that has changed our perspective. That might well be true. I was actually out dancing last night, and I was going out on my own. My wife was away, and so I go as a dance host, or sometimes they'll
Oh
call
yeah.
them like a dance ambassador. So there's certain venues that say, "Oh, David, if you're coming alone, just come in." You know, they don't charge me. I show up and I dance with everyone. And my perspective is, I pretty much would never say no. I'm a big guy, and as a big guy, I'm not so worried about protecting myself. I mean, certainly there's some partners that will really hang on you and stuff like
Right.
that. The only time I might say no, and it's for the moment, is if I really just need a break, right? Like I've just did like 12 dances in a row, and I'm getting a little bit older, right? I need to rest my heart, and my lungs, and everything else, right? So I will, even in that case, I'll just say, look, I apologize. I need a break. Can I get you on the next one?
Mhm.
Honestly, my feeling is, well, there are people I definitely enjoy dancing with more. You know, if someone is a really well poised, well balanced dancer with some experience, there's a lot of joy you can have flying across the floor, or doing more intricate steps. You have great connection. But whoever asks me to dance, even the person who just started dancing last week and knows nothing but one step, I still think it's an honor to be asked. Right.
Oh,
And that's how I think about it. It's an honor to be asked that, hey, this person wants to dance with me. And so we can move to the middle of the floor and be doing nothing but that one step. And I'm fairly good at leading, so I can even usually introduce something that might be new to them,
Yeah.
but I can always get them to follow a few other simple steps. And we have a nice time together, and it's still joyful, and I don't mind that. Now, usually there's a good mix, and I always have to get to dance with others during the night who are more experienced, and we can do some more fun things. But my general thought is it's an honor to be asked. I think that could be true whether you're a lead or a follower, right? That, hey, if you stop and think about it, isn't that nice that someone even wants to dance with me? Now, maybe it's because of my background that as a kid, there were periods where I was bullied a lot. And so I, have a different perspective on life perhaps, but yeah,
I think that's
I'm always happy to dance with people.
I'm going to take that as my favorite quote of this podcast, that it's an honor when you're asked to dance, because you know what, that's really what it's about. We're sharing this joy of dance in a social setting, be it at a studio or wherever we may be. And that's exactly what we're hoping for, is that we can share that moment or that dance or something with someone who's going to share it just the same. So it is an honor. And that's what we're trying to promote on the social side of when somebody asks you to dance, saying yes is really 2 thumbs up, because that's what we're trying to promote. You don't want rejection. You don't want to feel like you're not good enough. It comes with a whole lot of other layers, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I would say, I'm so back and forth on this issue, right? Because I think all sides of this issue really need to be understood. So a little bit of devil's advocate. One, I think this program with the kids or going out social dancing, I think it's super important to be able to ask, to be comfortable enough to ask, and to be comfortable enough, like David, you said, it's an honor to be asked. I love it. There are nights when I don't ask a single person because I'm at a place where everyone knows me and everyone asks me before I get a chance to ask. And I think that's wonderful. I will say that on the opposite side of it, sometimes in class, I'll have people rotate and ask to dance, and I'll have their partner say no. Just so you know, because me personally, I'm a visual person as well. So just as much dancing as physically dancing, I like watching the dance floor. I like seeing my friends develop a movement, guy, girl, lead, follow, doesn't matter. They've been working on a tuck turn, they got it, and now watching them play with it and seeing the light in their eyes and the cool stuff they come up with. So I like to watch just as much as I dance. So I try to get people to understand that no doesn't mean I hate you, but I do not have to explain no. You know what I mean? I just have to say, no, I'm good. I'll catch you later. No problem. And if you want to sit down and hang out with me while I watch the floor, watch what I'm watching, no problem. It's not you I have an issue with. I'm taking a moment for myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
there, you reminded me of another thought as well. So the perspective I gave is that of well, not so much that I'm a leader. I guess that's part of it, but I'm a guy, and I'm big and relatively strong. I do know that if you're smaller, a little bit more frail, you have to sometimes be careful. And to your point, you have to protect yourself. So I've been at cases like where the owner of the one studio we used to go to would come by and tell my wife, watch out for that guy over there. I mean, he will break your arm, right? Like just, some people get really aggressive and muscle and can injure you, right? He was really trying to protect a number of the women by just giving them the lowdown. Be very careful if this guy comes, because he could really injure you. He's not going to throw the guy out because he's not necessarily misbehaving in other ways, but
right, but just be wary of when you dance with him.
Yeah, I think that is important, right? Because you don't want to be going out to a venue to have a great time only to leave and now not be able to dance for the next couple of weeks because you're so sore from the experience.
Well, you know what, to me, that's a wonderful testament to the community of dance. Here we are in a social setting, which is what we're trying to talk about, even in respect to the school dance, is that there is a level of chaperoning that happens even on a community side where that gentleman is looking out for other people, which is awesome, because that's really what we're trying to do. We're sharing this wonderful activity called dance, and everybody wants a shot at it. But you know, if there's somebody that's just a little wild, or maybe somebody who's had too many drinks, there's all these other factors that you want to socially sort of look out for your neighbor, which is what that story tells me.
Yes. When we come back to the story about the kids, I definitely have a different perspective on that than in just more of a general social dance scenario where it might be at a bar or any kind of venue where I think saying no is completely okay. But at that young age, where it's kind of really it is a school event, it might as well be almost in the classroom, where I see it's not that different from taking a gym class and just say, no, I don't want to do that. You know, if you don't have like religious reasons or something, I'm sorry, you know, this is what the school requires. And in this case, if you're not comfortable with that, you probably had the option not just to go to the dance. But yes, in a different setting, yeah, you know, saying no is completely okay. And I like what you said, Kelly. You shouldn't need to have to explain yourself. And as the person asking, I think it's important. I think we talked on this in a different context in an earlier episode. Everyone should get comfortable with the fact that it's just okay, just chill with the, you know, when you get a rejection, right? I think it's
Don't
easy,
take it personally.
it's easy to take it very personally and what's wrong. And I've seen in some extreme cases, you get someone like wanting to challenge, like, why not? Right? It's like, you're making it worse, dude.
Right? Yeah, like you're fighting the wrong fight right now. You're pushing us way the other way.
Yeah, you know, you can actually turn it into a positive, like just be very polite about it, you know, thank them anyway, and you probably earn yourself some points if you're, you know, a little bit more suave about it. But
we talked about this, like you said, and pulling up another earlier conversation. Cheat tricks of how to get known on the dance floor. And that's a really weird way to say, like, if you go to a different city and you don't know anyone, there's a good chance you're going to hear no a lot. So find out who the instructor was, dance with the instructor socially, and everyone will see you, and then they'll be like, okay, they looked good with them, so now it's okay to dance. Like things like that. Not a cheat trick in the sense of, you know, how do I sneak this person back to my room or whatever? Nothing like that. That's crazy, right? So me personally,
that was episode 3 of 2020. By the way,
I love it. David would know that. He has it all categorized in his brain. He's got everything. But I find it's very interesting because I think I'm a decent dancer, right? I think the more you study dance, the more you realize, oh man, I have so much more to learn, right? But I will say, when I'm at places that people know me, I don't ever have an issue having a dance partner. And I think it's more because I'm more friendly than I'm a better dancer, right? So when I go to places that I don't know, I literally, sometimes I'll keep track just so I can remind myself. I get more no's than yeses. And it has nothing to do with my dance ability. It's got to do with the comfort zone and stuff like that. But I don't walk away from those cities or that dance or whatever it is and be like, oh, I'm a bad person because everyone told me no. No, nobody knows me. And you're very weary of strangers. Like, that's all it is. So I can go back home.
Social fabric of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know this guy. I don't want to dance with them.
Yeah, and I don't take offense to that. I just go, all right, cool. Well, a couple of people said yes, and they're going to say yeses. So I'll just dance more often with the same people than I would in a normal dance night. And I just move on with my life. And I can learn that as an adult, hopefully, because I'm becoming more emotionally mature. But at some point, I had to learn that. And I think if I would have learned it earlier, I think there's a lot of situations in my life that I might have handled differently.
Right.
So.
Can I just take this into a new dancer perspective for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's think about that in, you know, maybe in your early days, David, when you were just learning how to dance and had social events, or for you, Kelly, when you have a social event that you're attending. There's a big difference between new people that maybe have only danced for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and people that have then turned around and danced for maybe 5 years or 10 years or whatever.
Oh, for sure.
So that comes down to confidence and experience. And, you know, not only do I have the confidence to ask this person to dance, but then what the heck do I do when I get on the dance floor? They have to feel comfortable enough with the content, right? Can I recognize this song? Do I know that it's a waltz? Do I hear the beat? What steps am I going to do? Oh my God, there's traffic on the floor. So all of a sudden now we are just swamped with stress.
Yep.
So do we still want people to dance with others? Absolutely. And that's where I think you have to appreciate, where am I at? Is this new territory for me? And where am I going to bring that social side of saying yes, asking people to dance, accepting invitations, and then knowing how to make the most out of them. I just think it's important on a social side. I encourage, we encourage you to say yes, but of course we respect it if you say no. So that's sort of our internal studio policy. At the beginning of every social, we'll be like, we always want you to have the experience of dancing with other people, but we understand maybe you're tired. Maybe, like you said, David, you just danced 12 dances, you're tired. So you can say no, and you don't need to justify yourself, but just know that the value for you is in the more people you dance with, the better dancer you become. So that is where I just could go on for an hour about the value of having several dance partners in one evening, because you're really giving yourself just more skill and awareness of frame and how to hold and how to listen. And that's a tangent I'm sure you both have some comments on.
Sorry, Dave, I'm just going to jump in, and I was just going to say, I think right now, we've been talking about this for a while. I'd love to hear what everyone else thinks, right? David, I'd love if you had mentioned previously that you can throw up a poll. I think that'd be really cool, throw up a poll on this. Or they can reach us at Talk.dance and let us know, you know, their viewpoints on this. Because the whole thing fascinates me. Like, it really does, because I'm so in the middle, because I can see from one extreme to the other extreme. So it's like, I love hearing everyone's perspective and getting to know things about it. David, what do you think?
Yeah, it's such a great point you make, Michelle. I get that a lot when I ask someone to dance and they'll say, oh, sorry, I don't know. Or they're even unsure what kind of a dance it might be. And they'll say, what is this? And I'll say, oh, this is a hustle. I'm sorry, I don't know how to do that. Depending on the music, I might offer an alternative, but I don't want to push it, right? Because I'm also aware that that might not be the true reason, and that might be just a polite way of saying no. But I'd say, well, actually, it's possible we could do a cha-cha to that if you'd like to do that, right? Or some styles of music give you options that you can do other types of dance to that, right? Or if it's maybe it's a cha-cha, but you can actually do a rumba to it, right?
David, I think that you get the social dance award because you're so polite and you're so kind in your invitation, and even just having the alternative of, oh, well, we could try this and see if it works. Those are fantastic. I would love people to listen to that and adopt it, because there is a lot of interpretive side.
I wasn't always so gracious. It used to be like, Michelle, on the floor now. But
well, I think we've all had that. I call that the caveman. Like, I think we've all had that phase, right? Where you're like, everything's going crazy inside you. And you're like, you dance now. Like, that's all you can formulate, you know what I mean? And then we learn to cavemen use tools, and then I build fire and all this other stuff. And then we can turn into ultimately David, I think, and be like, hey, do you hear cha-cha? Do you know rumba? Let's do this. Come on. And we'll have some fun with it. Right. And I totally see that happening. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I do want to be respectful that, look, if you really don't want to dance, you don't want to dance with me, you don't want to dance right now, whatever the case is,
whatever.
I don't really need to know what it is. If it's a no, well, I might offer an alternative based on what you're telling me. If you're still not happy with it, I'm more than fine with that. I had a case last night. I help out a friend of mine with a group class. It's a beginner to early intermediate kind of group class. So I saw there was a woman from this group class at the social last night, and she had just joined this group class for the last 2 weeks, and we were learning quick step. And it was just, honestly, in this class, it's just the basic step of quick step, right? And even the instructor, we were talking after, he says, look, I'm not going to teach anything beyond this because it's just going to be way too much for this guy. So it's just kind of the simplest introduction to Quickstep. So this woman, she sees me at the event last night, and she says, when there's a Quickstep, can I dance with you? Now, literally, she knows this one step. So I applaud her for wanting to do it. That was awesome. And so we're doing the basic step, moving down the floor. And of course, typically when I get to a corner, I do a spin turn, and I might do something else, but I can just go back to the basic step. I could tell that spin turn was, oh my God, what's happening now? Right? And Quickstep is a challenging dance, right? Now I'm just doing just the basic step. You can learn to bend that around corners as well, right? Just by overturning or underturning and to move around traffic and stuff. But I completely get context is important. I would never have been as brave as this woman was when I was at that point in a dance, right? I'm just too self-conscious about it. So I kind of applaud this woman, like, wow, Quickstep is hard. And, she's done it for 2 weeks, one step basically, and she wants to give it a go. And we made it work, so it was kind of cool. But yeah, I completely get why people more like myself, if someone was asking me to do Quickstep and I said 2 weeks, I definitely would have been saying, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with this dance. And I typically come back with, but I'd love to dance with you, something else. What is your favorite dance, or what is your next favorite dance? If your favorite dance happens to be, in this case, Quickstep. So we can do that, because I'd love to take you up on the offer to dance. It's just that I can't fulfill your offer on this dance.
Yeah, I think, and we've been talking about this a while, and the conversation is naturally now moving more towards social dancing, which is exactly, I think, where the conversation started. But before we get too further off topic, I just want to recap that me personally, the whole child thing, I think it's hard to differentiate that they say no because they're uncomfortable actually with the person, or because they're so young, either mentally or even emotionally, that they think they have cooties. You know what I mean? So it's like, I like this, the reason that this is coming up, because I'm hoping that it promotes awareness and a conversation with your child about, well, yeah, sure, that person has cooties, but they're not squeezing your hand, they're not being awkward towards you, they're not pulling your hair, like social stigmas versus personal stigmas and all that other stuff. And I feel like between the Washington Post and stuff like that, I feel like that boat is being missed. Everyone's so up in arms about it. You can't tell my kid what to do, and all women should feel safe. I completely agree. All women should feel safe, but let's include everyone being safe, right? Let's include guys being safe from other guys. Let's include, everything that we can, and let's have a conversation. So that's what I think. I'm hoping that like this brings about, but.
And I'm excited too, like you had said, Kelly, to get David to add some comments in here and get some feedback from people, because this is a topic where we want to share some opinions and some ideas. So if we can get some feedback and have people post either their experience or their opinion on this, or if they have another, perhaps another link that makes sense, like another school or something else in their area or their province or state that might correlate and be like, oh yeah, in this school, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that'd be nice, because so far I've only seen Utah. Like, Utah, get your stuff together. No, just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Utah, totally kidding. David, how does all that happen? You're the tech guru. How do they find us? How do they, what do we do to get their comments and everything?
Why, Kelly, our website is www.talk.dance. And everyone can reach us at info@talk.dance. So absolutely, we would love your perspective on this. One final thought, I was thinking as you were talking, I wonder how people would think about this policy if the policy was, if someone offers you a handshake, you have to accept. Would that change their perspective? Because I think dancing,
as an introduction, or are you speaking in the perspective?
No.
I love that.
Put dance aside. If there
Okay.
was just it wasn't about dancing at all, but if the school said, if a fellow student offers you a handshake, Our policy is you have to accept their handshake. Because
That's
I think people would think differently about it, but I think they shouldn't, because this is just dancing, highly chaperoned dancing, and it's just like, you're connecting through a frame. It's not
yeah.
Right.
groping
Okay,
or
I'm
anything like
taking
that.
the floor for a second here because that's a great, I'm sorry, but
I love it. Get it.
this is important. The handshake is a great idea in a really simple perspective that doesn't involve personal space as much.
Mhm.
So part of the awkwardness I think we need to address in social dancing is, you're in my bubble. Okay, let's talk about it. We're in each other's bubble. This is, as much as we want to extend our arms and have straight arms and be really uncomfortable, we're still sharing space. And that sometimes is where I think people get the cooties concept from.
Yep.
Is that, whether you're sharing, closer in facial space, touching, holding, having one arm on the back, one arm on the hand, whatever frame you're in, it doesn't matter. We're kind of dealing with sharing space, and that comes down to comfortable and confidence within yourself and being able to do that with somebody else. So this is a big picture that has a lot of tangents, and that's why I want your comments, because we can ping pong all over the place.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I totally agree. And I know we're all really excited. We've been talking about this now over a half hour, and I love that. But I just got to say, I really think to join on what David was saying, that if you have handshakes, immediately, if there's no personal contact in your religion, even from a distance, you're immediately having that conversation. Oh, I'm sorry, my religion or my beliefs, or I just, you know what I mean? You immediately have that conversation. But now when it comes to dance and there's that personal bubble involved, people are being silent, and we're not teaching them to talk. Yes. So that's where the issue comes in. So David, you blew my mind with that. And I know some people will be like, oh, it's not the same thing, but I can connect the dots and see how a conversation on a handshake will promote more growth than somebody yelling about school administration when they're not talking to their kids about, why do you feel uncomfortable? You know what I mean? So that, David, that was wonderful.
Okay.
And guess what? We just had our social dance on Thursday night. Sorry, David, this conversation's not dying, is it?
No, it's not. I love it. I love it.
I get to tie in everything from the conversation you just had, Kelly, and the handshake, David. At the beginning of our social on Thursday, given our talks about etiquette, I started with that. I said, it's a small party. The weather is pretty lousy, but we do really encourage you to give it a shot and dance with somebody that you haven't danced with before. Maybe you've said hi to them at the bar. Maybe you walk by them on the way to the bathroom. You've seen them on the dance floor. We want to encourage you to do a couple of things. For one, maybe, and then I did a mock, right? So I walked over to another student on the other side of the floor and I said, oh, hi, my name is Michelle. I would love to ask you for this dance. Would you like to dance with me? And then she responded by shaking my hand, giving me her name. So there's the handshake. So we had a little personal contact already, and that was the first stage. And then, of course, I proceeded with, this is a cha-cha. Would you like to have a dance with me? Do you know how to do cha-cha? And then the whole point was just an example of all of those things, right? Getting in the bubble, shaking the hand, asking to dance. So we're kind of hitting all the marks.
I love that on so many levels. I think that's really great. We so often learn by example, and that you did that for the community there to show them how it's done. Thumbs up. Maybe we'll give some thought into how we could structure a poll about this. Maybe we'll get clever. In any case, yeah, we'd love your thoughts and opinions on this topic. And yeah, reach out to us at info@talk.dance.